All right, this is the Big Douglas Show. Got the rapper Big Pooh with me today. Pooh, how are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Another sunny day in North Carolina. I think it's sunny. I
It's
haven't been
sunny
outside.
here.
I
It's
haven't been
sunny in this
outside
end.
yet.
Speaking North Carolina, did you see today that Coach K announced he will be leaving office at the end of this season?
I did. I saw that, and the first thing I thought was, yeah, it's time. It's probably past time. The second thing I thought was he's announcing it so Duke can be sure to get all the calls this season. Like they don't get
Yes.
enough already.
Right.
Like, but no, I think it's time. I think he sees that, for coaches of his ilk, legendary coach, um, I think you see the writing on the wall. Like it's a new day. Players have more freedom of movement than ever before. Players, players, they pretty much get determined or call their own shot for the most part, and more changes on the horizon. And Coach K has never really been. I mean, he's had them, but his teams have never been one to have a team chock full of one and dones and
Yep.
things of those nature. And that's just the way the game is moving now because you're competing with G League, Ignite, Australia,
Yeah.
Europe, all these different leagues and things popping up where they're paying players, and you're competing with that now for top players. And I think the writing was on the wall. He going for his victory lap, and well deserved. It's
It's
going to be
interesting here
interesting.
in North Carolina because both of the big blue bloods here will have switched, right? Who
Will
is
have
it? Hubert
switched.
Davis went to UNC.
Yep,
And
he's
I
headed
would
there.
guess that it really doesn't even matter because I'm assuming that Duke's already got somebody in the pipeline.
Of course.
You
I
know,
saw a
like tons
report
of names will
today.
be floated, but there's somebody in the program already.
It's going to be somebody that has coached with Coach K. That's going to be say just like Hubert Davis. He had coached with Roy, and then he slid into the big chair. It's going to be the same at Duke. I saw reports today that in the running is John Shire, who had played at Duke and has been on the sideline. I think Capel. I think
I
it's
was going to say,
Jason.
I'm sure he'll be on
I'm
the
sure.
list.
I'm sure he's going to get a look. Um, so if you play for Coach K and you here we go. I think we froze.
We did. I must have gotten booted. We were talking. You said Capel, and I totally agree with you that he's got to be high on that list.
Yeah, it's going to be a former Duke player, also somebody that's coached under Coach K that's going to get the look. So we'll probably know. I mean, probably not going to reveal it until after the season, just so Coach K can get all the attention that he deserves, and go out the way he wanted to go out.
It's incredible to think all of the changes that he's seen in his time there from guys that stayed 5 years, you know, and what they do now with the one and done and the transfer portal. It'll be interesting. He'll go down. What is the top three coach?
Absolutely, absolutely. He's going down with John Wooden, uh, Adolph Ruff, uh,
Yep.
Adolph Rupp, um,
And the guy from his name UNC slips me
Dean
now. That's
Smith.
Dean Smith. Yeah, that's what
Mm-hmm.
I should know that.
Yep. Yep.
We were talking before we started recording here about the greatness of Dame Dollar. That game was incredible last night. What do you think it means to a guy? I mean, I know what he says, right? To have one of the greatest games in NBA history in a loss. He'll tell you it's a loss. It's got to feel, he's ready to move on to the next one. That one's got to hurt.
That's heartbreaking, man. Like, my heart breaks for him watching it. Like,
Right.
that has to be heartbreaking to know that you literally left everything you had on the court, and you had multiple chances as a team to secure a win, and it just wasn't happening. And it's unfortunate that he wasn't getting help last night. After, like I told you, I literally only watched it from 6 minutes left in the fourth quarter until the end of the game. And from what I witnessed, like he wasn't getting help.
Yeah.
It just came a
And
point where
he's got help.
he has plenty of help. Norman
Yeah.
Powell, CJ McCollum, Carmelo Anthony, Rocco. He has help. Nurkic fouled out, but he has help, but he just wasn't. No other player was on once it got to that first overtime. It was just Dame Lillard versus the Denver Nuggets. And Dame Lillard lost.
And he knew it. And he knew it.
And he knew it. He
Yeah.
absolutely knew it. And it was heartbreaking, man. It was unfortunate that type of game for him resulted in a loss, but it's the playoffs, man. What can you do?
Now, I am not here to do some kind of MJ LeBron debate because I don't find it necessary. Both players can be great. But for those that like yesterday's walkout on a blowout loss to a Suns team that didn't have Chris Paul, but for 3 quarters, they're going to look at LeBron again and say, see, this why we don't like them. Nobody showed up for that Lakers game last night, and it was hard to imagine a less competitive outing from a guy that's supposed to be the greatest, not the greatest, second greatest player of all time.
Very disappointing. It was one of them things where, as a fan, a pundit, media, anybody that wasn't on the court, you were geared up like, okay, we about to see full force LeBron tonight. We know there's no AD. He's going to have to take control. He's going to have to take charge. We're going to witness a glimpse of, LeBron from 5 years ago. We know he can't do that every night anymore, but we're going to see it tonight. And then he hit his first 2 shots, and then it was nothing. Phoenix took over, and they ran rap shot
in the second quarter. It's incredible.
They ran rap shot over them. Like it was like the Lakers were shell shocked. Like they didn't know this was going to happen. Like it was one of like, did y'all forgot y'all playing players that are paid just as much as y'all, right? Like,
and that Suns team is good.
Oh, they're very good.
They're
very good.
Nearly enough credit, right? I mean, they're well coached, and they've been. Now it's taken a while, but they have built that team over time, and they've got some young talent.
You know what they have? What I realized last night, they have a gang of wings.
Yeah,
of 3 and D wings that they relentlessly run at you, and that is what you need in the NBA. That's what our beloved team is missing. The one thing they don't have.
We are the anti-Suns.
Right. But they have a load of wings. They run at you. They have, the floor general supreme, Chris Paul. Even if he's not making a statistical impact, he's making an impact if he's in the game. And then you have Cameron Payne, who has rejuvenated his career. And he was so aggressive last night. Like he was so aggressive. I didn't even know who that guy was last night. And then you still have Devin Booker on the team.
So
and a lot of people don't talk about DeAndre Ayton.
That's right. I'm
glad
I was going to say it if you didn't. He's very good.
Very crucial to what they do, because if you watch how they play when he's not in the game, it's not the same.
That's right.
But
they've got a bunch of top five picks on that roster now, right? I mean, Ayton was a top 5, Booker was top 5.
Yep.
And Chris Paul obviously is not washed.
No, he's not. He's like I said, for the Suns, he doesn't have to have big statistical games. He just has to be the floor general that he is. Get everybody in their right place. He makes things fit like they're supposed to fit. And that's all he had to do. And Devin Booker did the rest. DeAndre Ayton did the rest. You got a tough cookie in Jay Crowder, experienced, more tested, 3-point shooter. The young version of Jay Crowder and Mikal Bridges.
I like that Mikal Bridges.
Yeah, I love Mikal Bridges. Then you got a shooter that come off the bench in Cameron Johnson. then the aggressive Cameron Payne who comes off the bench. So they have it all, man. It's fun to watch them play. It's exciting to watch them play, and they just came out and punched the Lakers in the mouth last night, and it was disappointing that the Lakers didn't show up for that game. It was disappointing. Like I told you, I recorded the games, and after I finished doing my work, what I was doing, I went in to watch the games. I didn't know any scores. I didn't know anything, and I was watching the Lakers game, and with like 2 minutes to go in the second quarter, I could see the box of the Trailblazer game. I had recorded that game. I turned that Lakers game off, and I went to the Trailblazers game in the fourth quarter, and I never turned the Lakers game back on. Like
No.
I literally never turned. I turned it back on, fast forwarded to halftime so I can hear what Chuck, Draymond, and Shaq had to say. Like that's the only reason why I went back to it. But that was embarrassing. That's what that was. That was embarrassing.
Charles called Anthony Davis street clothes.
Street clothes. Yeah.
That's inappropriate.
Man, I saw a meme where they had Anthony Davis. I don't know if you've seen the movie Unbreakable with Samuel Jackson. Yeah, sure. And they had him as Mr. Glass.
Oh no. Oh man.
But it's some players who have that reputation, and Anthony Davis is one. You know, fortunately for the Lakers, that didn't occur to this magnitude last year, but I knew it was going to go back to the mean with him, and we're seeing that in Philly right now with Joel Embiid.
Well, let's get there. The game is tonight. It's win or go home, and I don't think there's any chance that Embiid plays tonight. But you're right, he's got another one. It's tough on the big guys. I mean, it must be nice to be 7 foot. But I can tell you, I mean, I was 6'6", and there would be days that the back would start getting heavy the older I got. So I can only imagine what these guys are doing, trucking up and down the court every night. But he's another one. And I mean, how good is the 76ers team without Embiid?
It depends on how Tobias Harris plays.
He'll have to go off.
They're still good defensively. But the thing about Embiid is that's the one player you can't match up against unless you have the Joker. Like nobody can really match up with Embiid, and the floor tilts when he's on it. And now without Embiid, you don't have to come off them 3-point shooters anymore. You can stick to them like glue. And so it's going to be tonight. It's going to be how aggressive the Wizards play. If they play like they played, if we get the Hachimura that we got in game 4, because we're gonna be without Bertans. He's done for the year. So, and then Brad and Russ has to have good games because they didn't have great games the other night. Like
Russ really hasn't had one yet, right? I mean, I get the triple double still, but he has not played well.
No. I mean, this is playoff Russ that we're getting here. It's a little different than regular season.
21 rebounds is incredible. How do you do that?
He just has a nose for the ball, man. Like
I know.
He's like the 6'3" version of Dennis Rodman.
It's insane. I looked at the final box score and saw 21 rebounds. It was like, it's incredible because you can't, you're not chasing rebounds. You're just getting them when you.
He's getting them. He knows where they're going to come off the rim. He has a nose for that. He's aggressive. Being athletic helps. No Embiid in the game helps because you remember they were running with Mike Scott at the 5. Come on,
right.
He's not a ferocious rebounder.
Yeah, that's true.
So no Embiid, the Wizards have a shot to at least extend the series. I think
how many guards will we run with tonight, Pooh?
All of them. What are you talking about? We're running them all out there.
Lineup tonight.
We're running them all out there. That's the most embarrassing lineup.
Neto at the 4. Some more Neto at the 4.
I read it's crazy, but I read that Neto now is our best 3-point shooter percentage
He's the only.
wise that
He's the
Bertans
only.
is out
I saw that. I think Catch put it out. He's the only guy that now shoots above the league average on the team.
on the team. And I think tonight we need to see more Matthews.
Yeah.
Because Matthews can be a volume shooter if he had that same leash that or the same, I'll say, green light that Bertans has, but he doesn't, and he plays like he doesn't. But I think he needs to have the green light tonight. It need to be, if you're in here to shoot and make 3-pointers, do that. That's what you're here for.
Dave also got to find some way to make sure that it's not just Bradley getting the ball and running around till 4 guys get there and then making some kind of miraculous shot. I mean,
that's why
I know
need,
that probably I know that probably won't happen, but it's ridiculous to see it.
I think that's a product of, I'm not gonna lie, I think Brad and Russ, I mean, they're going to take shots. They're going to take shots, but I think as the game goes on, I think they gauge how the other players, if they're going to take shots, if they're going to be aggressive in their shot taking, if they're making shots. I think they gauge that as the game wears on, and if they're not seeing something that they like, they're chucking up more shots. It's just going to happen. I mean, because the Wizards don't have a lot of scores. They just don't. I watch other teams. I think we talked about it with Troy on here before. I don't know what it is, but I watch other teams and I'm like, every other team seems to be good shooting teams, good to great shooting teams. The Wizards are like the worst shooting team I've seen play this season.
It's which is crazy because they're putting up like 130 a game or something.
Yeah, because they're going to the paint like crazy. But they cannot, their players lack confidence, or they need to shoot 2,000 jumpers in the summer. I don't know what it is, but they're like the worst shooting team I've seen play this season. But the key is going to be an aggressive Hachimura. Hopefully he went back, watched that game 4, and said, yes, this is how I need to play every day, because he's very efficient.
Yes. Like, he was great. He was great.
He's efficient, and he's really unguardable.
That was the guy they thought they were getting when they drafted him. I think that's what they saw, right? When they drafted him, was a guy that could do that, and hoping that maybe next year that 3-point shot would be a little bit better, because he's worked on it. You can tell.
Oh, he was throwing that thing up with confidence the other night. Like he was letting it fly, baby. So it's going to be interesting.
And Gafford started last game. They'll need more from him. I think he can take a bigger workload. I heard Coach talk about why they don't give him more minutes. Whatever. More minutes from a man, please.
Run him till he pass out. Run him till he pass out. I don't care. But he's gonna have more room tonight, because once again, no Embiid. I like that, essentially, because I only saw the game from the second quarter on. It basically was just Gafford and Lopez, because Lopez was on. So it's like, that's how Scott needs to run that center rotation. You find the 2 centers that's on, and that's all you need to play. We don't need 3 of them. We don't need 3 of them out there. Just like we don't need all 4 guards on the floor at the same time.
Well, and this is the same problem that we had against the Celtics, or at least Russ had the problem. When you put those long guards on Russ, he can't get down to the paint like he likes to. And that's kind of how that offense, I think, was built. Let's get Russ down into the paint, get him going, and then the ball can move a little bit. And when Russ can't post guys up, I mean, really, what's left in his game offensively?
Yeah, against this Philly team, because Simmons normally takes Beal. That's the big defensive threat. And Danny Green is a solid defender, so I'm not going to knock him. But Russ can get to the hole on Danny Green. So it's going to be, I'm telling you tonight, if in that first quarter, if we don't see the Wizards going to the hole relentlessly with reckless abandon, they're going to lose. There's no Embiid. Yes, Dwight Howard's going to be down there, but he's not Joel Embiid, and he gets in foul trouble very quickly, if they are not going to the hole with reckless abandon in that first quarter, it's going to be lights out for him, because Philly isn't going to have, like, Tobias Harris is going to have a bad shooting game tonight. They're back in Philly. Danny Green isn't going to, well, who knows? But Seth Curry isn't going to have a bad shoot night. So it's not going to
He
be.
hadn't yet.
No, it's not. It's not going to be what they had in DC. Philly got shocked in DC because Embiid started, then he was gone. Oh, what do we do? That's not going to happen tonight. They know he isn't there. So they better come to play, because Philly's going to come to play, and it's going to be crazy in there tonight. So they better come to play.
I would have never thought that I'd say this, but if I'm not posting the Captain Hook meme tonight, the team's in trouble. They need Robin Lopez to get that hook machine going and give him 20. And he should be, and to your point, he should be able to.
Yeah, it definitely need to be a 15 to 20 point game for Lopez tonight. It's going to be interesting.
Hook since Kareem.
Right. It's going to be interesting. Like I said, I'm really interested to see how the Wizards come out. They gained a little confidence the other night, Tuesday night, and was on Monday night, whatever night they played. They gained a little confidence, and now they know Embiid isn't there. So that same team that they gained that confidence on, that's who they're facing again. And it's going to be interesting to see how they play. It's going to be interesting to see how Doc changes his defensive scheme to accommodate, because I know he is. Scott Brooks don't change his schemes, but Doc Rivers is going to change his. He's not. Yeah, he's not gonna play the same way. So it's going to be interesting tonight, man. I enjoy, for the Wizards' sake, at least win another game, because
it'd be nice. I think they can.
Yeah. You didn't fight this hard to go out that fast in this series. Like, it wouldn't even be worth it. So it's going to be interesting to see.
One of my favorite teams this year was the Atlanta Hawks. They've got a young superstar down there on the verge of knocking off the Knicks. You've been keeping up with this series?
Oh, of course. I just didn't see the last game, but I saw all the ones before that, prior to that.
He's great, and they've got the young center down there too. And they put that team together. And you know what I love about that team? Nate McMillan.
Absolutely.
He's one of the greatest coaches. I can't believe he had to come off the bench in replacement duty, but he's fantastic.
Yeah, so they said the problem with Nate McMillan in Indiana was his reluctance to embrace analytics. I was listening to Eddie Johnson and Justin Termini, and Eddie Johnson said that was the problem with Nate McMillan. That's the problem with a lot of older coaches, like Lionel Hollins, old-minded, gritty coaches. They're reluctant. Mark Jackson. They're reluctant to embrace analytics. So I think the best thing for this team, not only to have Nate McMillan step into the head chair, but they were already offensively talented. They had a system in place. He didn't have to mess with that. He didn't have to tinker with that. All he had to do was get them to buy in defensively, which they have, and to continue to mentor Trae Young to running the team, not just trying to do your best Steph Curry impression, but running the team, which he has. But that defense, I mean, Julius Randle averaged like 37 points per game in the regular season against them. He looks like Julius Randle pre-most improved player of the year award. Like, he looks lost. He looks befuddled. I watch how they load up. They know New York isn't a great shooting team. So it's like, y'all can have all them jumpers. Y'all not coming in this paint. And they have stifled. I mean, Tibbs Derrick Rose is starting. He shouldn't be starting.
No.
Not that he isn't capable, but you lose what he brought to you off the bench. Uh, Julius Randle looks lost. RJ Barrett, you forget he's even on the floor at times. So it's one of those things where
And the first round pick, I can't even think of his name because they never said Token.
Toppin, Obi
Yeah.
Toppin,
Yep.
he's had like one good 5 minutes in this series. So it's one of them things where New York surprised people this season, but they weren't built to do much in the postseason. They're like the Washington football team. They're ahead of schedule.
Okay.
They're
Yep,
ahead of
that's fair.
schedule in where they were supposed to be. And it was a great story, but I didn't have them beating the Hawks. I really didn't. The Hawks can go almost too deep at every position.
They're really they're loaded. I don't think people realize that they're a very good basketball team. The last one is in the East is the Nets and the Bucks have both moved on. Should be a great matchup. I'm not sure what to think about Durant. I know he is the best. Personally, I think he's the best basketball player in the world. But it is hard to judge him and where he'll stand because, again, if he wins championship right now, to do it with two other guys that are top 5 in the league in the world.
I don't
And
even care
so I
about that
haven't.
anymore.
Yeah, you just like watching it.
Yeah, that's just where we are, man. Like, I think it's hard for guys our age to accept like that's what the game is now, but you constantly hear it. Even I read what people say about the Wizards, and they're going to be salary cap strapped as long as Westbrook is on the team, Westbrook and Bill. But I see people say, man, they can't even get another superstar. Like that's all people want. That's all they claim, that you can't win. To people, you can't win if you don't have multiple superstars or multiple stars on your team. It's like that's
Yes,
not the only way to build a team.
but three of the best players in the world is different than two really good players, or even two all-world players. I mean, the man has not played on any team without three superstars. I mean, he had three superstars at OKC. I mean, they were young superstars, but they were superstars. Then he left to play with two more. I mean, he's always the third. Two more superstars. And Draymond is worthy of being a great player. So I don't. That's all I'm saying. Like I think by himself, he's still, the best basketball player in the world. Particularly since I think LeBron looks like he's probably on his way down and not up. So
I think he'll
I
get
don't know
props.
if
I think he'll get props if they win it, and I'm gonna tell you why. When he went to OKC, they had already won, right? Before he got there, he just made them unbeatable. Yeah, they had won before he got there.
No, to Golden State.
I mean, Golden State, not OKC.
Yeah,
My
okay.
apologies.
Yeah.
Golden State.
No, you're fine. Yeah.
He made them unbeatable, right? But they had already won one. Mm-hmm. When he comes to Brooklyn, Kyrie has a championship, but that's Bron's championship. Like, what has Kyrie done since he left Cleveland? Nothing to really speak of. We all know James Harden struggles. Like he hasn't sniffed a championship in Houston. So if they go this season, I don't think they're going to look at it the same way they looked at the Golden State run, because Golden State they were established. They had just won one. Well, they had won one, and then he made them unbeatable. In Brooklyn, it's not the same story. You have a rookie coach who's never coached before. And if they win, that's going to be more like his. It's going to be okay. This one we'll give you. Like we're not going to give you the two and go to state. We'll give you this one because he's on a team that isn't. They weren't already set up to win prior to him getting there. He is part of the reason why they are in this position, as opposed to Golden State. We won without you. We can win without you. We just prefer to have you. In Brooklyn, until him and Kyrie got there, nobody even thought about them going past the first round in the playoffs. So I think they'll view this one differently. I see the point you're trying to make, but I think they'll view this one differently. And it's only because Kyrie is the third best player out of that trio. And James Harden's addition made them, in my opinion, James Harden's addition made them championship or bust. I don't think they were going to I don't think they had a chance of going to the finals pre James Harden. I didn't think they were going to do it.
Okay.
The
Because I'm
addition
trying
of
to think
Harden,
around the league, that's really the only big three now. There's a bunch of big twos. That Nets team is really the only one I can think of where I feel like, I mean, I guess the Bucks, I don't
they
think
don't
so.
have
Like, their third
that's
is
not a big
not.
three.
No, that's what I'm saying. So, like, I think that's the only big three in the league right now.
The Bucks have a big one and
Well, they got a
some
super
very
one.
a super one and some very, very good 2 and 3s.
The 2 and
That's
3
how the
both made the
Bucks have
All-Star
been.
game this year.
They did, and I'm not knocking Drew Holiday or Chris Middleton, but Drew Holiday he's very important to their success. But he does what he does. It's like it's no flair. You'll just quietly see, like, hold on, Drew Holiday had 15 and he locked down somebody and he grabbed a couple important rebounds. Like that's what Drew Holiday represents. Drew Holiday stabilized that team. He made them tougher and he stabilized it. And then they added PJ Tucker, who made them even more tougher. I think they're going to really hurt losing DiVincenzo as they get deeper. I was reading the article and they said DiVincenzo, while his stats weren't amazing, he basically, all of the people that it's going to take to replace him, he gave it all to you in one player. Like, that's going to be they're missing him. But yeah, the Nets, it's still going to be interesting. I don't know, man. It's going to be interesting because I love the way the Hawks are playing and they have everything. I love the way the Bucks are playing because now they have 2 dogs and Drew Holiday and PJ Tucker. They have that toughness that they didn't have last season. I don't know if Budenholzer learned how to, he's Scott Brooks. He's the Scott Brooks that wins more games. That's who Budenholzer is.
What a compliment.
He's
compliment or judging on somebody right now.
He's Scott Brooks when he wins 20 more games a season than Scott Brooks. That's who Budenholzer is. And so it's going to be interesting to see how the East shakes out. I mean, I'm not going to lie. It's going to be interesting to see how all these races, because I believe if Anthony Davis can't come back and be phenomenal,
Let's go.
The Lakers are done.
Yeah.
And once the Lakers get out of here, we roll in the dice. No, there is no preemptive favorite. There's no preemptive favorite.
Yeah. I mean, I think I'd take Utah as the preemptive favorite if the Lakers are out. But to your point, there's not one because that Suns team, as we spent a bunch of time talking about,
I'm not taking you. I wouldn't bump Utah. They got their hands full with the Grizzlies. If they're facing the second youngest team in the NBA, and they have their hands full. They're winning, yes, but
everybody's going to have a tough time with John Morant. That kid's unbelievable.
Yeah, that backcourt. I love the way him and Dillon Brooks played, man. I hate when Dillon Brooks was playing against Bradley Beal, but I love watching him play against Utah. He just got to stay out of foul trouble. But I'm seeing Utah is literally a live or die by the 3-pointer team. I mean, they play defense, but their offense is predicated on 3-pointers. And
what's my man's name for the Jazz that hits the threes? It looks like he just stepped right out of the church league. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah, that's right.
Joe Ingles.
That's right. My man, every time I watch that man just amazes me. He's just out there plodding along, stroking threes.
Yeah, he plays at his own pace.
The ball. He does.
Yeah, it's their team, man. They're a good team, but it's like I said, I watched every game of the Grizzlies series so far,
Yeah.
and all I think about is you're gonna run into one of these teams that play more disciplined defense, and it's gonna be hell on wheels for you guys.
Yeah.
Like
Well,
they're gonna make it so
the
tough.
Joker makes it so tough to beat them.
He does. But if Austin Rivers and Capazzo and they got to get some players back, man. They got
Yeah.
Will Barton, PJ Dozier. They got to get some players back because I think they're going to beat the Nuggets. I think they're going to advance. I don't think the Nuggets can beat them 2 times in a row. And I, I just don't know how them other players are going to fare as they get deeper into the playoffs. They're having phenomenal series now, but Portland isn't really a defensive minded team. So it's a little easier to get your stuff off against a Portland versus the Clippers who look like they finally in tune, or a Suns team that come at you, or a Utah team that's going to come at you. So Joker does tilt the floor, but the other guys are going to have to make shots, and if they're not getting at least Will Barton back, they're going to be in trouble.
So you think that the Nets will beat the Bucks?
I don't know about that. I have no
Okay.
idea. I'll have to see how this plays out because I'm not gonna lie to you. I haven't watched a lot of the Nets this year.
Nobody's watched a lot of them with all three on the court at the same time
I
because
mean,
they just
yeah,
haven't
true.
been out there.
Because I literally watched a half a game of the Boston series. Like I didn't even care
Yeah,
to see that. I knew
sure.
Boston had no shot. I didn't watch any of the Milwaukee sweep. Like
No, I didn't either.
I forgot they were even in the playoffs. That's how fast that went. Like I didn't watch any of that series.
You know what else I
So
don't understand about what the NBA's done this year? There's 4 playoff games tonight. You know what I mean? Like I don't understand why they
yeah,
didn't do a better job of spreading some of these out. There've been multiple games on at the same time. To
you
your point, you couldn't watch all the Lakers game and the Nuggets game separately unless you record. It's weird how they've done that this year, and I'm not sure why.
yeah, I didn't understand even in the Wizards Philly series by them first 3 games, there were 2 games in between the games. Like you're going from you're in Philly for 2 and then you go into DC. That's like a 3-hour train or drive. You don't even have to get on the plane for that one. And I didn't understand that either. The only thing I can think of is I think they anticipated more sweeps than what they actually got. Because
Well,
if
that could be.
if Philly would have swept the Wizards, that game wouldn't be on the night, so that take a game away. Who else is playing? I think they probably thought the Grizz was going to get swept, so they wouldn't have been on tonight. So
Yeah.
I think they probably anticipated more sweeps than what they got. But yeah, it was super weird. Like the way the games were spaced out is I don't understand it. Like I, I didn't understand it at all. But it's about to get cleaned up. It's just
Yeah, they
very
are.
quickly. It's
That's right.
because the Knicks are going home tonight, where they're going to be playing. They're going to be staying home tonight. Um,
Yes, I think so.
yeah, I think it's over for them. It might be over for the Wizards tonight if they don't come out and play like they did on Monday. And I think it's going to be over for the Grizzlies tonight too. I just don't think I think they blew a chance or two to make this a tighter series, and they're going
And
back to
what's the
Utah.
series for the Clippers set at now?
I think
You
it's
know
2-2.
offhand? 2-2.
I think it's 2-2.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. But they're going to be in. Dallas is in trouble. Charles Barkley said it. He was like, the Clippers are a front running team, and once you gave them life, the first time they beat you, you're in trouble. And now you're dealing with a hurt Luka, that shoulders bothering him, and their offense couldn't do anything
Yeah.
when he wasn't in the game, like nothing.
Well, again,
And
that's
what
when you have an offense that's run strictly through that guy.
I got a question
That's
for you, Doug.
okay.
What happened to Porzingis?
I I don't know. I don't know. He's certainly not the same guy that we saw from the Knicks. And I don't know if injuries have just caught up with him. And he's not healthy this year, but he's not the guy that, first of all, he's not the guy that I remember. And he's not the guy that I think a lot of people thought was going to require great trade demands, too, right? Like, I think people thought there was going to be a lot of people interested in his services at the trade deadline. And to my knowledge, there were none,
No,
which makes me wonder if the league, knows the answers to that question better than I do, because he hasn't played well in a long time.
no. I was watching him play, and I'm like, who is this guy? Like, did the Monstars come take your powers? Do we we need
Well,
LeBron to
and
go
again,
get them back for you?
if he's not hitting threes, right, then it kind of just crushes his game because he's too lanky to be in the post. And it's just odd that you have a 7 foot three guy and you're more concerned about whether he's hitting threes or not. He's a
He's the
conundrum.
real
He's a unicorn. He's also a conundrum.
he's the real Mr. Glass. He's
Anyway,
the real Mr. Glass.
I'm telling you, it's the big guys. It's the big guys, you know. And unfortunately for them, once the injury happens, whatever injury that may be, I mean, think about Shaq's whole career ended because the big toe wouldn't get right.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, it's just when you're 7 foot and some of these guys are lanky, at least like Shaq was kind of put together for 7 foot. These lanky guys that look like Mr. Glass, I think it's tough. Like even Embiid is fairly solid, but I don't even think he's 300 pounds.
Yeah. Yeah,
And I
it's
don't know.
unfortunate. It's unfortunate, man. Players aren't built the same. Like they're
And
built.
I wonder if that's the training that they do now. It just can't be. I refuse to believe it's genetics.
Eddie John said something very interesting. And it wasn't about big guys in particular, but it was more about conditioning. And because they were having an argument about Trey Young. It was the game the Hawks lost, and Trey Young only played like 35 minutes. And Justin Termini was like, "Man, what's going on? Like, this the playoffs. This is why is your best player only playing 35 minutes? Like, you run him out there 40 some minutes if you have to, like to get the win. What are you doing?" And Eddie Johnson was like, "One is the analytics. These are what the analytic guys are saying. And two, players aren't conditioning themselves to do certain things anymore. So Eddie Johnson said, I conditioned myself. I built up my conditioning to play 48 minutes a game and never get tired. Even though I didn't play 48 minutes a game, I could because
Right.
I conditioned myself. I built my conditioning that way." And he said, nowadays players aren't doing that. And so I think part of it is once the analytic trend took over, guys conditioned themselves differently. And it's almost like they condition themselves for spurts
For 35 minutes.
for 35 minutes. And once you go over that and you start getting fatigued, fatigue isn't just a mental problem. Fatigue is a physical problem.
Yeah.
And like you said, once one thing goes, if you try to overcompensate, now the whole car is breaking down. Um, and I just think for big guys, now they want them to be able to space the floor. They have to be way more athletic and involved on the perimeter than they ever had to be. Where back in the 90s, they would just run into the box. We banging and clanging in the box. We don't go outside 12 feet, and that's it. Now you got to rim run. You got to guard the perimeter. You got to switch out on picks. You got to be able to shoot the J. And so, I mean, and then you have like an MB where you just fall wrong, like, and all your weight
Right.
ends up on one leg, and it's cookies.
And I know why they don't wrap up the knees and ankles and all that. I mean, the ankles they do, the knees they don't so much. It's kind of like the offensive linemen in the NFL don't wear the braces, even though they always do in college. To me, that's ridiculous. That little 1% more athleticism you get, I think I'd rather have everything kind of bundled up tight so that some of that gets out of the way. Pooh, let me ask you, I've got one more question for you
Okay.
on the game tonight. This is me personally. Russ Russ has a habit. It's his thing when the shot clock went up, when the quarter clock is low, right? For
Mhm.
the 2-and-1. Am I crazy? I hate that so much when they run down there and just jack up a shot, hoping to get another shot with 4 seconds. Like, because that 4 second shot's never a good shot either. They live by doing that. I hate it. What say you?
I don't like it when it's less than 7 seconds plus. If it's going to be less than 7+ seconds for that, potential last shot, I don't like it. Because now you're getting, like you said, you're getting two terrible shots
Two
instead of one
terrible
good shot.
shots.
When it's more than 7 seconds for a team with Russ, Brad, Ish Smith, even, I say, okay, I'll live with it. But for 4 seconds, 5 seconds, 6, like, nah, I don't like it because
And I didn't watch a bunch of OKC or Houston, so I don't know if that's a Russ thing or a Brooks thing. I'm trying to remember if we did that before Russ got here with Brooks, and
I think that's a
I,
Russ
I
thing.
noticed. You're right. It
Yeah.
feels like it.
I would feel better even for him doing it. I would feel better if he didn't take the pull up three. Like if he actually stepped across and took a pull up two. I know you can hit that shot sometime. I haven't seen you hit no pull up threes. Like I've seen you hit threes off the catch and shoot, but I haven't seen you hit no pull up threes.
Yeah,
So
even
I would,
those
yeah, even those
it
is
like rain in June.
you start holding your chest, you start throwing threes up. But if he was to come and shoot a mid range shot as opposed to a pull up three, I would have less of a problem with it because that's a higher percentage shot for him. But that pull up three, man, that's just like, come on, man. You that's a prayer that never gets answered for you, bro.
All right, Pooh. Will they win tonight?
Yes. I think Philly allowed them to gain some confidence and know that they can beat this version of Philly. It's gonna be tougher because they're gonna be in Philly, but
Playing
they
the
gave
Hawks was supposed to give them some confidence for this series. So I hope you're right and they built some more.
yeah. I think
It'd be tough to lose if they it'd be a tough one if they lose without the 76ers having Embiid. I think that'd be tough.
that'll be so tough. That'll be so tough. I still don't think they're gonna win the series. I don't care if Embiid doesn't play another minute in this series. They're not gonna win the series, but
I'm with you.
hopefully they at least get one more in the season in DC. Like let the people see him one more time.
I don't think it'll happen, but we'll see. I think they'll lose tonight.
I don't know about the first quarter. I know however the
I think
first
that's
quarter
fair.
play out. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know.
All right, Pooh. Well, here's for hoping for another win tonight. At least I hope as long as they're competitive. As I've said this all postseason long, as long as they compete and don't get blown out, what else can you ask for?
What else can you ask for? I know this. If they're getting blown out, I will be switching over to that
That's right.
Hawks to that Hawks game.
That's right.
I have options tonight. Thank you, NBA, for your weird scheduling. I have options tonight. So if they are getting blown out, I will be turning that game off. Stats. This is going down.
All right, my brother. Always fun chatting it up with you. And
Yes, indeed.
we'll holler at you.
All right. See you when I see you.
All right.